Now let us move it. Now just first one thing. Tomorrow we have a Sunday, so I wanted to keep a different. Now we go to section 139, subsection 7. Pay attention. We need to finish this first auditor, subsequent auditor, and casual vacancy. Now 139, subsection 7 is for auditor of which company? Government company. Now what's a government company? You've done a definition in intermediate. Government company is a company in which either the state government or central government or combinedly, state and central government, they are holding 51% or more. The word written is not less than 51%. Exact 51% is also fine. 51% or more of the share capital. So in basically state government, central government or combinedly if they are holding 51% or more of your paid up capital, then it is said to be your government company. The word paid up capital. What do you mean by the word paid up capital? Does it include only equity share capital or equity plus preference? Of paid up capital. Paid up capital will include equity or equity plus preference. Understood the word of question? The word is paid up capital, right? Paid up share capital. The paid up share capital will include equity and preference or only equity. Now, actually under your AS, your share capital word includes equity and preference, but under Ind AS, the share capital includes only equity. So, dependent on whether the company is following AS or Ind AS. AS may it's only, it is equity plus preference. For Ind AS, it's only equity. Okay, so if central government or state government or combinedly they are holding 51% or more of your paid up capital, it's a government company, or a company which is a subsidiary of government company. A company which is a subsidiary of government company, that is also a government company. For example, there is A Limited. In A Limited, central government holds 60%. A Limited, may CG holds 60%. Can I say A Limited is a government company? Now there's B Limited. In B Limited, CG or SG holds nil. CG or SG holds nil. But A Limited holds 60%. A is a government company because CG holds 60%. B is also a government company because it's a subsidiary of A Limited. The subsidiary of government company is also a government company. That's the definition of the word government company. Now, who will appoint the auditor of government company? For a government company, the power to appoint auditor is given to CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now, for working of government, there are different government services. Like you have heard this word, IAS officer. IAS is nothing but what? Indian Administrative Service. IPS officer. Indian Police Service. IRS officer. Your Income Tax Department, GST Department, IRS. Indian Revenue Service. There are so many services under government. One of the category of services, IAAS. Indian Accounts and Audit Services. Indian Accounts and Audit Services. That is also one of the services under your government. Now, under IAAS service, there are actually 30,000 officers approximately. And head of them is called as a CAG. There's only one CAG in the country. It is basically nothing but the head of IAAS Department of Government, that is Indian Accounts and Audit Services. They handle the accounts and audit things related to government companies and the government entities. They handle the accounts and audit provisions related to what? Government companies and government entities. For a government company, the company registered under your Companies Act, for a government company, the auditor is appointed by CAG. They don't do the audit, they will appoint auditors. The auditor is appointed by CAG. Within how many days? So they say 60 days. Within how many days? 60 days from the incorporation of company. So within 60 days they will be appointing in case of which company? Government company. So government company may the auditor is appointed by CAG. Now what if the CAG fails? 60 days may you don't get a letter from CAG who is appointed. So normally you will get a letter from CAG telling this guy is appointed. But if you don't get a letter from CAG, then board will appoint in next 30 days. Next 30 means 61 to 90. First 60 days CAG will appoint. If CAG doesn't appoint, next 30 days is 61 to 90. It will be appointed by board of directors. What if board also fails? What if board also fails? If board also fails, now they have to inform shareholders, and shareholders will appoint by holding a EGM in 60 days. The 60 days will be from the completion of that 30 days. The first 60 days is basically CAG. Then next 30 days is board. If board fails, that 30 days over, then within that next 60 days, they will inform shareholders and shareholders will appoint. What if shareholders also don't appoint? They only will appoint, but as they're appointing late, company will have penalties. And the first auditor will remain till the conclusion of first AGM. First auditor will remain till the conclusion of first AGM. Clear with this? So for a government company, the auditor is appointed by CAG. So here the limit is 60, 30, 60. Here the limit is 60, 30, 60. In the normal company, the limit was basically 30 and 90. It was 30 and 90. So 30 plus 90, here it is 60, 30 and 60. Okay. Now check the question which is given to you. Question number 35. The auditor of Health and Wealth Limited, a government company, was appointed by BOD. Valid, not valid? Not valid. It should be appointed by whom? CAG. The answer, not valid. It should be appointed by CAG. Answer is not valid. And then you write, it should be appointed by CAG. So 139 subsection 6, 139 subsection 7, normal company, and then we did government company. Now we go to subsequent auditor. First auditor is done. He will be there till first AGM. Whether normal company, whether government company, he will be there till first AGM. Now first AGM came. Now the appointment of auditor is to be done by shareholders. So 139 subsection 1 is appointment of subsequent auditor, normal company. 139 subsection 1 is appointment of subsequent auditor for which company? Normal. Okay, first AGM has came. What they're telling? Every company shall is mandatory. Every company shall at first AGM appoint auditor who shall hold office. Every company shall at first AGM appoint auditor. Now tell me, they're telling at first AGM they appoint auditor. AGM is of whom? Shareholders. So that's why wherever the word AGM is there, you can write basically by shareholders. AGM is of shareholders, so appointment will be by shareholders. So every company shall at first AGM appoint auditor who will hold office. Who will hold office from the conclusion of first AGM to the conclusion of sixth AGM. From the conclusion of first AGM to the conclusion of sixth AGM, and thereafter till every sixth AGM. Means the appointment is done not for one AGM, appointment is done for 5 AGMs. From conclusion of first to the conclusion of sixth. Okay. They are appointed in the conclusion of first. First is already over. First may someone else was there. Now they will be there. First year of there will end at conclusion of second AGM, then conclusion of third, conclusion of fourth, conclusion of fifth, and conclusion of sixth. So they are appointed for 5 years. So now the auditors are not appointed for one year. Now the auditors are appointed for 5 years. Now there was a word kind of subject to ratification at every AGM. Yaad hai aisa kuch? In intermediate that word was there. Subject to ratification at every AGM. That is actually removed. We don't have ratification now. So just you are appointed at the conclusion of first AGM. You will remain till the conclusion of sixth AGM. Now, I told you appointment period is different. Audit period is different. You are appointed from AGM to AGM, but you don't do audit from AGM to AGM. You will audit what? Financial statement presented to shareholder during your period of appointment. You will audit the financial statement presented to shareholder during your period of appointment. Now we say at first AGM the shareholders will appoint. Now shareholders have a power to appoint, that is just putting a stamp. Okay, valid, fine. They don't go and search for the auditor. They don't go and search for the auditor, or they don't recommend the name of auditor. They just put a stamp. Okay, this guy appointed. So approval is given actually by shareholder. Otherwise, who will go and search for the auditor? They use the word competent authority. What is the word used? Competent authority. Now, who is a competent authority? If a company is required to have an audit committee is the competent authority. If company is not required to have an audit committee, then board of directors are the competent authority. Competent authority will go and search for the auditor. They will select the auditor. If audit committee required, audit committee is the competent authority. Audit committee not required, then board of directors are the competent authority. Now, section 177 is on audit committee. Which companies are required to have audit committee? If you just go to next page, if you just go to next, that is page number 14. You'll see requirements of audit committee. Did you got that? Okay, tick that as important. Requirements of audit committee. So which companies need a audit committee? All listed companies. All listed. And, so see if the word, if you see in addition to listed. Listed mein mandatory. In addition to them. In addition to them, whom do we need? So all public companies having a paid up capital 10 crores or more. All public companies having a turnover of 100 crores or more, and all public companies having outstanding loans and borrowings exceeding 50 crore. What is the word? Exceeding. If you see pehle wale, in first two the word is greater than equal to. Last wale it's only greater than. All public company having a paid up capital 10 crore or more, having a turnover 100 crore or more, or loans and borrowing from basically which are there is exceeding 50 crores. But if you see all three places, the word is what? Public company, public company, public company. So means audit committee is not required for private company. If you want, you can just write down audit committee is not required for private company. Okay, now question, pay attention. A Limited, a listed company, A Limited, a listed company has a paid up capital of 8 crores, turnover of 80 crores, and loans and borrowings outstanding of 40 crores. Paid up capital 8 crores, turnover 80 crores, loans and borrowings which are outstanding is of how much? 40 crores. Is audit committee applicable to the company? I repeat, A Limited, a listed company, having a paid up capital, listed. The listed may don't see the limits. In addition to listed, others. Yeah, others may the limit is to be seen. For listed, we don't have to see the limits. For listed, audit committee is mandatory. Now the question, the paid up capital, the turnover, the loans and borrowings, which day I should see? Last audited balance sheet. If you see, they've clearly written it is the last audited financial statement. The limits are to be seen of last year. If in last year the limits are crossed, this year the audit committee becomes applicable. If last year the limits are crossed, this year the audit committee becomes applicable. Now see, whenever this word comes in a committee, committee is nothing but made up of few directors. See, we are having 10 directors. Out of 10 directors, we have allocated 3-4 directors who will look after accounts and audit. Who will look after what? Accounts, finance, audit. They are called as a audit committee. Who will be the members of audit committee? Who will be the members of audit committee? The directors only. The directors only will be the members of audit committee. It's just that few directors are now taking care of accounts, finance and audit. They are basically a part of audit committee. If audit committee there, the auditor is recommended by whom? Audit committee. If audit committee not there, then the auditor is directly recommended by whom? Board of directors. Okay, now if audit committee there, audit committee recommends to board, board will recommend to shareholder, shareholder will approve. If audit committee not there, then it will be board recommends to shareholder, shareholder will approve. Okay, so who will go for searching the auditor? Competent authority. Competent authority will meet the chartered accountant firms also. Imagine, we need an auditor. Can I say we'll try to find a good firm which matches or commensurates with the size and nature of our business. Imagine we are a very big company, so we need to find such an auditor who will be able to do the audit properly. We might go and meet them. We might ask them, are there any pending litigations going on against you? There might be a litigations going on against the chartered accountant firm. We'll ask for that detail also. We'll ask for other details also. And then the audit committee will finalize, okay, we want to appoint this CA firm as auditor. They will recommend to board, board will recommend to shareholders. Now question, audit committee recommends to board, board rejected. Audit committee recommended to board, board rejected. The audit committee recommended CA Mr. A, board has rejected. What will happen? Again, audit committee will recommend some new name. So now audit committee recommended CA Mr. B. If board approves it, then board will recommend to shareholders, and then shareholder has to approve. Now audit committee recommended CA Mr. A, board rejected it. Audit committee again recommended the same name. No sir, he's fine. I repeat, audit committee recommended CA Mr. A, who rejected? Board. But again audit committee recommends CA Mr. A only. They do not change the original recommendation. They are telling no sir, he's fine. Now what board can do? They may accept. They may accept second time because now he is forcing, so I might accept it. Or now I will not ask you and I will give my own recommendation to shareholders. I already rejected someone. Why are you giving me the same name? If you are giving me same name, I may accept it now. But if I don't accept now, board may come out with their own recommendation. Normally when audit committee is there, the recommendation has to come from what? Audit committee. But audit committee recommended some name. If I reject, now they have to give a new name. But if they are still giving the original name, they are again telling no, A is fine. I may accept, but now if I don't accept, I may not ask you. I may come out with my own recommendation to shareholders. Yeah, that clear? Now, just imagine audit committee recommends name to board, board recommends to shareholder, shareholder appoints, and after you appoint the auditor, you tell, sir, we appointed you. And then he says, no, sir, my already 20 audits are over. When you came and met me, space was there. But afterwards I got 1 or 2 big audits and now I don't have any space. So can I say that we did whole procedure recommending audit committee to board, board to shareholder, shareholder approved it, and now the auditor is telling no. So for that they are telling, before you appoint an auditor, you take a written consent from him. Before you appoint an auditor, what you should take? Written consent that he is ready to accept the appointment, and you have to take one certificate. So we just see before the appointment is made, page number 14. Before the appointment is made, we are required to take a written consent as well as a written certificate from him. And what does the certificate contain? 4 things. Certificate contains 4 things. 1, he is not disqualified to become an auditor as per the provisions of section 141, like his relative is not a director or KMP, they are not holding or indebtedness, any security, that all provisions are not being violated. So he is not disqualified to be auditor. Second, the appointment is as per the terms of the act. Appointment is as per terms of the act. Third, the limit basically of 20 is not being violated. Remember, the limit is 20 per chartered accountant in practice. And last, he has to give a list of proceedings which are going on against the CA firm. The list of proceedings which are going on against the CA firm, and he has to certify it as true and correct. He has to certify it as true and correct. Now someone said, sir, but chartered accountant always says true and fair. We say about true and fairness of financial statement. Financial statement shows a true and fair view. Here we are not reporting on financials. Here we are telling how many litigations are going on against us. So when I am telling list of proceedings against me, I can't say, probably 5-6 cases are there. You have to tell how many cases are going on. So you have to certify this as true and correct. Clear with this? Okay, so before you appoint an auditor, you need to take a written consent from him and also a certificate. Certificate will include 4 things. 1, he is ready, he is not disqualified. Appointment is as per the terms of the act. It is within the limits and the list of proceedings going on against him, and he will certify it as true and correct. Okay, so now just understand. Audit committee went, they searched the auditor. They took a certificate also from that auditor that he is ready to accept the appointment. Now they will recommend to board. Board will approve it. Board will recommend to shareholder. Now shareholder approved it. Now question. Shareholder will approve it by passing a resolution. Where? AGM. Okay, question. Which resolution? Ordinary or special? Appointing auditor is always a ordinary resolution. So now auditor will appoint the auditor by passing a ordinary resolution. Once the resolution is passed, auditor is appointed and he has already given a consent, he is ready to accept. Now he cannot reject. So now auditor is appointed, you have to inform to ROC within 15 days by filing form number ADT1. You have to inform ROC by filing form number ADT1 within a period of 15 days, and you also inform to that auditor within a period of 15 days, sir, we have appointed you. He can't reject because he has already given a acceptance. So this is the whole procedure for subsequent auditor. First auditor was there till first AGM. Now first AGM came. At first AGM, we have to appoint what? Subsequent auditor. It will be done by whom? Shareholders. So they say that every company shall at first AGM appoint the auditor who shall hold office from which date to which date? From the conclusion of first AGM to the conclusion of 6th. Then from the conclusion of 6th to the conclusion of 11th. From conclusion of 11 to conclusion of 16. That is called 6th AGM. Every 6th AGM. 1 to 6. 6 to 11, 11 to basically 16. If you count it both ways, 1 to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Actually 1 is already over. So he is there for 5 years, but they call it as every 6th AGM. They call it as every 6th AGM. So 1 to 6, 6 to 11, 11 to 16 and so on. Now, shareholders will be appointing, but our selection power and all that is not with shareholders. It is basically with the competent authority. If the company is required to audit committee recommends to board will recommend to shareholder. If audit committee not required, board will recommend to shareholder. Before I appoint an auditor, I have to take a written consent and a certificate from him, which will contain 4 matters. Now board has recommended shareholder approved it by passing an ordinary resolution. Once auditor is appointed, inform to ROC within a period of 15 days by filing ADT1, and also you inform to the auditor which has been appointed. Clear with this? Now question, we just check page number 14, question number 36. Now question is whether I need an audit committee for the current year or not. I need to see what? Last audited financial statement. So in simple words, whenever financial statements come, financial statements will not be ready on 31st March. Financial statements will be ready only once they are approved by board of directors and they are audited by the auditors. Audited word is written, no? Now tell me, when does the auditor sign the financials? After they are approved by BOD or before they are approved by BOD? When the auditor will sign the financial statement? After they are approved by BOD or before they are approved by BOD? Understood the question? No. After they are approved by BOD or before they are approved by BOD? After. Reason, BOD approves financials, the financials are ready. Now I can sign it. Now tell me, I cannot sign the financials unless they are ready. The BOD approving financial means, okay, these are the financials from whose side? Management side, and then we will sign. Practically, that will be on the same date. So practically, if you see any financial statement, on behalf of board, people are signing, auditor is also signing. If you see, the date will be same. Auditor's date can be same or it can be later, not before it is approved by board of directors. See, the thing is, limit kab check karna hai. You just have to see whenever your audited financials are ready. Suppose your audited financials are ready in, say for example, June. So now June mein ready huye, but they are for which year? Last year. So now in June when audited financials are ready, so I need to see, okay, limit is crossed or not. If limit is crossed, okay, this year now you have a audit committee. So June ke baad you start having the audit committee. Before year end, the audit committee has to be incorporated. Okay, Okay, now your question is, if borrowing earlier was more than 50 crores, but as at the balance sheet date when they're audited, the borrowing has gone down and it is not exceeding the limit. Now if you see the words written, they're not telling at any time during the year. What is the word written? As at the, basically the audited financial statement. I just have to see the borrowing outstanding on the last date. Last date may, if it is not exceeding 50 crore, audit committee is not required. If the word is at any time during year, then I have to see anytime. Here the word is only as per the latest audited financial statement. Clear? Now, you are appointed from conclusion of first AGM to the conclusion of 6th, 5 years. Now, question is, what if? Now, I was appointed, 2nd AGM happened, 3rd AGM happened, 4th AGM happened, 5th AGM happened. Now, 6th AGM has not happened only. 6th AGM has not happened only. Now, you will say, sir, it is mandatory to have a AGM. The gap between 2 AGMs should not exceed 15 months. But if they don't keep it, it's not my fault. Whose fault? Company will have penalties. But now imagine they don't keep the AGM only in one of the year. If they don't keep the AGM in one of the year, then what should I do? Should I go on the last date on which AGM should have been held? Or I can continue as an auditor till the AGM is actually held and concluded. I repeat the question. You are there from conclusion of 1st to the conclusion of 6th. Now, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th AGM happened. 6th AGM has not happened only. 6th AGM has not happened only. So, would I be auditor till the last date on which AGM should have been held? Or I will continue as auditor till the AGM is held and concluded? Would I be auditor till the last date on which AGM should have been held? Or I will continue till the AGM is held and concluded? I will continue till the AGM is held and concluded. If you check the next question, no AGM was held for year ended 31st March 18. Neenu is the auditor for the last 5 years. Whether she is continuing to hold office for current year or not, the answer is, write down, Neenu will continue. Neenu will continue as auditor till the AGM is held and concluded. Till the AGM is actually held and concluded. So you are there from conclusion of 1st to conclusion of 6th. If they don't keep AGM, I am not at a fault. They are at a fault. I will be there till the 6th AGM is held and concluded. Okay, this was basically for a normal company. Now we go to a government company. This was 139 subsection 1. Subsequent auditor government company is 139 subsection 5. Subsequent auditor for a government company is 139 subsection 5. Okay, subsequent auditor government company, who will appoint? CAG. CAG only will appoint. He has to appoint within 180 days from the commencement of financial year. Within 180 days from which date? Commencement of financial year. Within 180 days from the commencement of financial year. Financial year starts on 1st April. Within 180 days, the starting of the year started, the CAG will appoint the auditor. Now, he will hold office for how much time? Conclusion of 1st AGM to conclusion of 6th? Okay, now if you see the words written, he will keep the office till the conclusion of AGM. Now, they don't write the word next AGM. What do they write? AGM. Now, which AGM? Next one, 3 AGMs, 5 AGMs, what? Now, actually, it will be based on the letter which is basically given by CAG. I have seen a letter of CAG appointing you for 3 years also. I have seen a letter of CAG appointing you for 1 year also. So practically CAG is appointed for 1 year also. Practically CAG appoints you for 3 years also. Now the word written over here is till the conclusion of AGM. Now which AGM is not mentioned? That is as written in CAG's appointment letter. So just write over there as per CAG's appointment letter. As per CAG's appointment letter. You are appointed for how many years? As per CAG's appointment letter. He may appoint you for 1 year, he may appoint you for 3 years. And Act may the word next is not written. Now, there are some people, they interpret it as next AGM, but I have seen practically also CAG appointing you for 3 years. So I will interpret it as per the CAG's appointment letter, you will be there. If he appoints you for 3 years, you are there for 3 AGMs. Clear with this? Okay, so subsequent auditor for a government company again is appointed by whom? CAG within 180 days from commencement of financial year, and he will hold office till the conclusion of AGM, which they are not telling. So as per the appointment letter given by CAG. So CAG may appoint you for 3 years, so then you are there for 3 AGMs. Clear with this? Shall I move it? And the last provision which we are doing today is casual vacancy, that is your 139 subsection 8. 139 subsection 8. So we did 139 subsection 6 and 7, first auditor. 139 subsection 1 and 5, that was your subsequent auditor. And now we go to 139 subsection 8, casual vacancy. Okay, now the word casual vacancy is not defined in Act. Act doesn't tell what is a casual vacancy. It is like auditor was validly appointed, his tenure was going on, and now he ceases to be auditor. I repeat, auditor was validly appointed, his tenure was going on, and now he ceases to be auditor in between. Now, why he ceases to become auditor? He became disqualified. Earlier, my father was a normal employee. Now, my father is promoted to KMP. Earlier, my father was a normal employee. I was qualified to become an auditor. Now, my father became a KMP. I became disqualified. So he ceases to be auditor. Why he ceases to be auditor? Either he is disqualified or, again please, he is unwilling. So he has resigned. Auditor has resigned. Like many companies nowadays, you have found that auditor has resigned. Like Manekchand Beverages Limited, Deloitte was auditor. They have resigned, stating a reason that we are not getting the information, explanation which are asked for. And I tell you, whenever auditor resigns, now as of today, it's not a small issue, it becomes a very big issue. Market price of that company falls drastically whenever the auditors are resigning. So, either he became disqualified, either auditor resigns or auditor expired. If auditor expired, he ceases to become auditor in between, or company removed you in between. Or company removed you in between. Then also you cease to be a auditor. So you cease to be auditor because you are disqualified, or you resign, or you are expired, or company removed you. Anything is there that will fall under your casual vacancy. What's a casual vacancy? Auditor was validly appointed, his tenure was going on, and he ceases to be auditor in between. Can I say suddenly in between he's gone? Suddenly in between he's gone. Is he going at AGM or in between? Between. Now, auditor went away in between. So we need an auditor immediately. Normally, appointment of auditor is done by shareholders, but shareholders will meet when? AGM. Now, just to appoint auditor, should I call a EGM? No. So what should I do? I give a power to board. So whenever there is a casual vacancy, again the power to appoint the auditor is given to board of director. The only logic is, just for appointing auditor, we can't call a EGM. EGM expense will be more than audit fees many times. And that's why again, for a casual vacancy, the power to appoint the auditor is now given to board of directors. Okay, now first coming to a normal company. First coming to which company? Normal company. For a normal company, whenever there's a casual vacancy, the auditor is appointed by BOD within 30 days. Auditor is appointed by BOD within 30 days. But if the casual vacancy is due to resignation, casual vacancy is due to resignation, auditor resigned, then in that case, BOD will not appoint. No. BOD will recommend a name. What BOD will do? Recommend. Normally under casual vacancy, BOD appoints within 30 days. But if it is due to resignation, BOD will recommend. Shareholder has to approve it within 3 months of recommendation of BOD. Shareholder has to approve it within 3 months of recommendation of BOD. The BOD will recommend within 30 days. BOD can't appoint. Or if they appoint, the appointment is subject to approval of shareholder. Appointment will be what? Subject to approval of shareholder. So we don't say it as appointment, we just call it as a recommendation. The BOD will appoint, the BOD will recommend within 30 days, the shareholder will approve it within 3 months from the recommendation of board of directors. But the approval of shareholder is required only when casual vacancy is due to resignation. Now, tell me a reason why auditor resigns. Majorly the problem will be there are lots of issues in the company and I don't want to take up a risk. See, whenever you take up a risky audit, okay, fees might be more, but samne the risk is also more. If your opinion goes wrong, later on cases are filed, you are stuck up. So if you find there is a company wherein the risks are more, you find some fake transactions are more, or they're trying to boost profit, or they're trying to show lesser profits, and you're not getting the information explanation which is required, then you might be resigning. The major reason is you are not getting proper information. You feel there is something wrong going on over here. And that's why you resign. And if you are resigning, the shareholder should know what was something wrong. And that's why now the auditor should be appointed not by BOD. BOD will just recommend. Who has to approve it? Shareholders. Shareholder has to approve it, but if it is only due to resignation. But that auditor became disqualified, your auditor expired, that's a normal scenario. Wahan pe there are no problems in the company. As there are no problems in the company, we allow whom? Board of directors to fill the casual vacancy. But if it is only due to resignation, it has to be approved by shareholder within 3 months of recommendation of board of directors. This is for which company? Normal. And the casual vacancy auditor will be there till next AGM. Now see, yahan pe word next is written. We'll be there till which AGM? Next AGM. We'll be there till next AGM. And now, next AGM will come. Again the appointment will be done by shareholders. And shareholders will not appoint for 1 year. Shareholders will appoint for 5 years. When board is appointing first auditor, it's only till first AGM. Casual vacancy only till next AGM. Only till next AGM. Now if it is a government company, the casual vacancy is filled by whom? CAG. Within how many days? 30. CAG will fill it in 30 days. If CAG doesn't fill in 30 days, board will fill in next 30 days. Board will fill in next 30 days. Now question, if board also doesn't fill in 30 days, then? If board also doesn't fill it in 30 days, then? Shareholders? No. Kahin likha hai? Nahi. So board only will appoint, but as they are appointing late, company will have penalties. Don't switch over the power to anyone. Not to shareholder, not to central government. It will remain there only. But as they are appointing late, the basically penalties will be levied on company. Okay, so this is basically your casual vacancy. First, for a normal company, it's appointed by BOD within 30 days. If it is due to resignation, specifically word should be there, resignation. If it is due to resignation, then in that case, the BOD will recommend the name within how many days? 30 days. And the shareholder has to approve it within 3 months of recommendation of board of director. Now question is, sir, can the auditor, proposed auditor, can he start doing the audit once BOD has recommended subject to approval of shareholder? BOD has recommended subject to what? Approval of shareholder. Can the proposed auditor start doing audit? He may start doing audit at his own willingness, that's fine. But if the shareholder does not approve the appointment, then that appointment is not valid only. And then in that case, sir, I did some work. Would I get the fees? No. You will not get the fees because on paper you are not an auditor yet. But willingly, if you have agreed upon mutually and you want to start it, you want to start because it's a big company, we are waiting for shareholders' approval. If I wait, it is possible I might not be able to check the things in a proper manner. So I may start basically assuming the approval of shareholders will definitely come. And I tell you, most of the cases, who are the shareholders? The directors itself. Like in Reliance Industries Limited, who is the managing director? Mukesh Ambani, and he holds 55% of the shares. So now tell me, when I say shareholders approval required, who has to approve? He only. So normally, it is basically the board has recommended shareholders approval has to come within 3 months. The auditor may start the work because he knows the shareholders approval will definitely come. But he cannot sign any of the things. On paper, he will become an auditor only after it is approved by shareholders. Clear with this? Shall I move it? Okay, for a government company, it's appointed by whom? CAG within 30 days. If CAG will fail, then the BOD will appoint next 30 days. And the casual vacancy auditor will always remain till the conclusion of next AGM. Now question. We have appointed ABN Company Chartered Accountant. You appointed whom? ABN Company Chartered Accountant. So we appointed a firm named as ABN Company. Now they added a new partner C and they changed the name to ABCN Company. Now we appointed ABN Company. Now they changed the name to what? ABCN Company. So can I say we appointed ABN Company, but now ABN Company is not there. Who is there? ABC. So is it like a casual vacancy? ABN Company is gone and now I should appoint ABCN Company? Understood the question, no? We appointed a firm named as ABN Company. We appointed an auditor, ABN Company, but they added a new partner. They changed their name. If CA firm changes the name, there's a reconstitution of CA firm. There is what? Reconstitution of CA firm. CA firm adds a new partner, they remove a partner, something like that. Is it a casual vacancy? Now ABN Company is not there only. ABCN Company is there. Is it a casual vacancy? Understood the question, no? Reconstitution of chartered accountant firm, would it lead to a casual vacancy? So they're telling reconstitution of chartered accountant firm will not lead to a casual vacancy unless it is a total reconstitution. Unless it is which reconstitution? Total. Total means all existing partners gone, all new partners are there. Name might be same also. All existing partners gone, all new partners came. That is called as a total reconstitution. Even if one partner is remaining, then it is not a total reconstitution. Imagine it was ABN Company, now they added C. So it's ABC, but can I say substance-wise that's the same firm? So they will see substance over legal form. So then that's not a casual vacancy. But I tell you, ABN Company was a firm, very famous. But now both A and B, they expired in a aircraft accident. Both A and B are now expired, but the firm was very renowned. So what their legal executors did, they sold that firm, ABN Company, the brand name and all the clients, to another chartered accountants, X and Y. Okay, so now who are the partners? X and Y. The firm name is ABN Company only. But now the thing is, can I say that earlier the partners were A and B and now the partners are what? X and Y. So that is said to be a total reconstitution. If it is a total reconstitution of chartered accountant firm, then that leads to a casual vacancy. Then you have to basically appoint them again. That already appointed is gone. That's a casual vacancy. Okay, so just check your question number 38. It's actually a point number 3. If the firm is appointed as auditor, any reconstitution. Above 38, there is point number 3. If the firm is appointed as auditor, any reconstitution of firm due to admission, retirement, death, including change in name, will not affect the appointment of auditor. However, when there is what? Total reconstitution of firm, that would result into what? Casual vacancy other than resignation. It's a casual vacancy other than resignation. Board has to fill it. If it is due to resignation, shareholders' approval will be required within 3 months. Okay, this is a question which we did. Balu and Vaidya, B and V. They had a firm named as BVN Company. They added a new partner, R, Ramu. And now they changed the name to what? BVR and Company. Earlier it was BVN Company, now it is BVR and Company. Due to change in name, the company contends that the old firm ceases to be auditor. So now the company is telling it's a casual vacancy, old firm is gone. Valid, not valid? Not valid. So, right? Contention of company is not valid. Write down. Contention of company is not valid. Okay, question 39. Young and Company, a CA firm. Young and Company, a CA firm, and statutory auditors of Old Limited is dissolved. Who is dissolved? Young and Company is dissolved, the CA firm. The CA firm is dissolved due to what? Difference of opinion amongst partner. On which date? 1st April. Now, the firm which we appointed, that firm is dissolved. Okay, is it a resignation? We appointed a CA firm, the CA firm is dissolved. Can I say the firm is gone? Okay, is it a resignation of CA firm? No, it's not a resignation. It's a casual vacancy other than resignation. Okay, other than resignation, who will fill it? Board. Within 30 days. Who will fill it? Board will fill it in 30 days. Okay, so you see, the board of directors in its meeting on 6/4. The board of directors in its meeting on which date? 6/4. When did they go? 1/4. Within 30 days. Fine. They appointed Sharp & Company as the new auditor for 1 year. Valid, not valid? Now, appointment is not for 1 year. Appointment is till the conclusion of next AGM. For example, the auditors, the casual vacancy happened in February. The casual vacancy happened, like in this case, it happened in what? April. Now, AGM will come in June, July. So, he will be there from April to July only, not for 1 year. So, write down. Appointment by BOD. Appointment by BOD is valid. Appointment by BOD is valid, but for 1 year is not valid. Appointment by BOD is valid, but for 1 year is not valid. And the last question, question number 40. Mr. P was appointed as auditor of AAS Limited. Mr. P was appointed as auditor of AAS Limited by board to fill a casual vacancy that arose due to the death of auditor originally appointed in AGM. There was an auditor originally appointed in AGM. He expired. Can I say it's a casual vacancy other than resignation? So who can appoint? Board. The board had appointed Mr. A to fill the vacancy arising due to death of original auditor. That's fine. That's fine. Subsequently, Mr. A resigned. Okay, so there was an original auditor, he expired. Board appointed new auditor. Now new auditor resigned. Okay, now new auditor resigned. Again casual vacancy, but due to resignation. Now how it should be filled? Now it should be basically recommended by board of directors and approved by shareholder within 3 months from the recommendation of board of directors. So state how new auditor will be appointed. The board fill this vacancy by appointing you through a duly passed board resolution. Valid, not valid? Not valid. Write down. Write down, not valid. Reason is already given. As Mr. A resigned, such appointment shall be approved by company at a general meeting within 3 months of recommendation of board. Answer is not valid. Okay, we keep it up till here today. So we are done with section 141, section 144 and 139 we started. First auditor, subsection 6-7. Subsequent auditor, 139, subsection 1, subsection 5 and casual vacancy was subsection 8. This is what we have finished. And I saw one sentence on our metro pillars. The pillars of metro, there was one very good sentence. It says, I may cry, but should not allow you to make me. I may cry, but I should not allow you to make me. If you want to cry, you cry, but you should not allow anyone else to make you cry, including ICI. To make sure that you put your efforts in a manner that even ICAI cannot make you cry. You want to cry, it's fine, but you should not allow anyone else to make you cry. Be that much strong enough. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Tata, bye-bye, take care.